Let me give you a number that stopped me when I first came across it. The average dental clinic receives 600 inbound calls a day. 5% of those calls go unanswered, not because the staff is not trying, but because the phones ring during procedures, during lunch, after hours, during peak booking windows. That 5% translates to roughly 7,800 lost calls a year. And at average dental revenue per patient, that one gap costs the clinic somewhere between $243,000 and $395,000 annually. Not from bad marketing, not from poor service, just from a phone nobody picked up. This is the problem that AI receptionists solve, and it exists at some scale in almost every service business you can walk into today. Salons missing calls between appointments, roofers missing texts while on a job site, restaurants losing reservations during the dinner rush. The pattern is identical across industries, and the cost is always significant. If I had to build a business from scratch tomorrow targeting this exact problem, this is the blueprint I would follow. But before we get into the system, I want to show you the proof that this market is actually moving right now in 2026, because the numbers are different from what they were even 12 months ago, and that difference is what makes the timing on this opportunity real. Quick note, if you are new here, this is the Income Guide. We break down real business models with real math, no hype, and no overnight promises. If you want these breakdowns every single week so you stay ahead of the curve, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. It takes 1 second, and it is the reason this channel exists. Now, let's talk about what the market data actually says. In February 2026, a San Francisco company called Nuo raised $25 million in Series A funding, specifically for AI receptionists serving dental practices, restaurants, and home service businesses. They had already created over 15,000 AI agents on the platform and doubled their revenue in the last 2 months of 2025 alone. In the first quarter of 2026, their dental practice deployments generated over $400,000 in incremental captured revenue for those clinics, revenue that was previously being lost to unanswered calls. Venture capital firms put $4.2 billion into voice AI companies in 2025, which was a 2.3 times increase from 2023. That is not speculative money chasing a trend, that is capital following proven revenue in a market that is already working. The most useful real-world data point I found was from a UK-based salon software company called Salon IQ. They launched an AI receptionist feature called IQ Connect in December 2025, and in 6 months had 300 salons live on the platform. Those salons collectively handled 34,000 calls through the AI, resolved 74% of those calls without human intervention, and generated over £270,000 in bookings in 2026 alone. Average ROI per salon was 9.4 times their investment in 6 months. 120 salons signed up in the first 2 days after a single webinar. The demand was not manufactured. It was latent, and it converted the moment a working solution appeared. So the market is real and moving fast. The question that actually matters for us is how you position yourself to capture a piece of it without building the underlying technology yourself, because that is where the agency model comes in, and the math on it is cleaner than almost anything else we have covered on this channel. Here is the core model. You do not build AI, you deploy it. You use a white label platform, configure it for each client, manage it on their behalf, and charge a monthly fee for as long as they use it. Your wholesale cost per client on a platform like AI Front Desk runs around $45 a month. You charge the client anywhere from $197 to $600 a month depending on their industry and the complexity of their setup. The margin at that spread is between 70 and 95% on every recurring payment. 10 clients is roughly $2,000 a month. 50 clients is $10,000. The product does not change as you add clients, it just clones. Now let me show you the comparison that closes almost every sales conversation with a business owner, because when you put the numbers side by side, the decision becomes almost impossible to argue against. A human receptionist costs a small business between $30,000 and $60,000 a year once you factor in salary, benefits, training, and the cost of turnover, and the average small business loses a receptionist every 12 to 18 months. An AI receptionist costs the client somewhere between $600 and $4,800 a year in your monthly fee, with no training cycle, no sick days, no lunch breaks, and unlimited simultaneous calls at 3 in the morning. The savings are between 87 and 97%, You are not selling them a tech upgrade, you are handing them back $30,000 to $50,000 a year and charging them a fraction of that to make it happen. That is the framing that converts. The 3 platforms I would evaluate if starting today are Vendasta Conversations AI for agencies planning to manage more than 20 clients. It is fully white-labeled under your branding with an omnichannel setup covering voice, web chat, SMS, and WhatsApp. AI Front Desk for the fastest entry point since you can onboard a new client in under 5 minutes with Stripe billing already integrated. And Connie for a 0 licensing cost option since it is open source under MIT license and lets you spin up unlimited client instances without a per-seat platform fee. The right choice depends on how many clients you are targeting in the first 90 days and whether you want to absorb more setup work upfront in exchange for higher margins over time. Choosing the platform is the easy part. The part that actually determines whether this business grows or stalls in month 2 is how you approach the first conversation with a potential client, and the one move that closes deals faster than any sales script is something most people never think to do. The highest value targets in this market are dental and medical practices, salons and spas, home service contractors like roofers and plumbers, restaurants with high reservation volume, and real estate agencies. These are the businesses where a missed call or an unanswered message has an obvious and immediate cost, which means you are not trying to create awareness of a problem they did not know they had. You are walking in to solve something they think about every week. The pitch entry point is one simple question. How many calls do you miss in a week? Most owners either know the number and it bothers them, or they have no idea and the question lands like a small alarm. Before you meet with any business, build a demo number and configure it as a version of their business type. If you are going into a salon, your demo should handle booking requests, service questions, and pricing inquiries. When you sit down with the owner, ask them what the most annoying customer message is that always seems to arrive at the worst possible moment. Then text that exact message to your demo number right there in front of them. When the AI responds accurately in seconds, the conversation is essentially over. You have not described a feature. You have shown them their specific problem being handled while they are watching. That demonstration is worth more than any sales deck you could build. The pitch language matters almost as much as the demo itself. There is one framing that works consistently and one that kills deals almost immediately. And the difference between them is not about being more persuasive, it is about what the business owner actually cares about. Never use the word AI in your opening pitch. Never mention agentic workflows, large language models, or conversational automation. The moment you sound like a tech vendor, the owner's guard goes up and they start thinking about whether they need IT support to manage it. Say this instead. This answers the people who call you while you are busy, while you are with a client, while you are on a job, while you are asleep. It never misses a call, and it never puts anyone on hold. That sentence describes an outcome the owner has wanted for years. The technology behind it is irrelevant to them. The result is everything. I want to be honest about what running this service actually looks like, because the setup is genuinely fast, but the ongoing management has specific failure points that are not obvious until they happen. The most common one is stale information. If a restaurant updates its menu, changes its hours, or adds a new service and you do not update the agent's workspace files, the AI starts giving customers wrong information. That is not a technology failure, it is a maintenance failure. A 15-minute monthly call with each client to review what has changed and update the relevant files is what prevents this, and it is also the moment you ask for referrals and identify upsell opportunities. Do not skip that call even when clients seem completely satisfied. The second thing to get right from day one is the agent's limits. When I tested a default configuration against a set of real-world messy customer messages, a late-night booking request with special requirements, a complaint, an urgent appointment change, the default setup handled basic queries well, but started hallucinating on edge cases, making commitments the business could not fulfill. The fix is to define explicit boundaries in the SOL file before the client goes live. The agent never confirms a specific time without checking availability, never promises a specific table or technician, and routes anything urgent directly to the owner with an immediate notification. Getting those limits right in the configuration phase prevents the client complaint call that costs you the relationship in month 2. Now let's talk about what the pricing and income actually look like as you move from your first client to 10 clients to 50. Because the progression here is different from most service businesses, And the reason comes down to one structural advantage this model has that compounds over time. In months 1 through 3, you are learning the platforms, building your demo, and onboarding your first 5 to 10 clients at around $197 a month. Monthly recurring in this phase is $1,000 to $2,000, and setup fees of $500 to $2,000 per client generate additional immediate cash. In months 4 through 6, you raise your rate for new clients to $297 as you collect testimonials and refine your onboarding process. And you are targeting 10 to 15 clients for a monthly recurring of $3,000 to $4,500. By months 7 through 9, with a VA handling onboarding and 15 to 20 clients live, you are at $6,000 to $8,000 a month. The $10,000 month happens at around 25 to 35 clients at an average rate of $300 to $400, which at 5 to 8 new clients a month from consistent outreach is achievable inside 10 to 12 months from a standing start. The first mistake is pricing based on cost instead of value. If you charge $150 a month for a service that saves the client $30,000 to $50,000 a year, you have left a significant amount of money on the table, and you have also signaled to the client that the solution is low value. Charge based on what you are saving them. $200 to $500 a month is a fraction of a single human receptionist's monthly salary, and framed that way, it never feels expensive. The second mistake is not using white label from the start. If the client sees the platform's branding instead of yours, you are building someone else's business instead of your own. The moment the client realizes they can go directly to the platform and cut you out, the relationship becomes fragile. White label means the client sees your name, your logo, and your dashboard. You own the relationship entirely, and the platform is invisible to them. The third mistake is ignoring the hidden costs in permanent pricing. Platforms like Retail AI and Vapi charge by the minute. Base rates look manageable at 7 to 10 cents per minute, but setup fees, compliance certifications for healthcare clients, premium voice options, and overage charges can push the actual cost significantly higher than the headline number suggests. Before you commit to a pricing model with any client, calculate your all-in cost at realistic call volumes for their specific business type. A dental practice with 600 daily inbound calls has a very different cost profile than a small salon handling 20 calls a week. Here is the full picture. The average small business is losing tens of thousands of dollars a year from calls that nobody answered. And you can fix that problem for $200 to $500 a month using software that takes under 20 minutes to deploy per client. The market is already moving. $25 million raised specifically for this in early 2026. 300 salons live in 6 months from a single platform launch. 9.4 times ROI documented from real deployments. The timing is not hypothetical. The path from 0 to 10,000 a month runs through consistent outreach to dental practices, salons, home service contractors, and restaurants, businesses where the cost of a missed call is obvious and immediate. The demo closes the deal before you quote a price. The soul file and monthly maintenance call are what keep clients for years instead of months. And the margin on this model, 70 to 95% on recurring revenue, is higher than almost any other service business we have covered on this channel. Now, if you watched our last video on the video editing agency model, you already understand the retainer structure that makes both of these businesses work. The AI receptionist model is actually easier to scale than the editing agency because delivery does not require additional human hours as you add clients. The software handles it. If you have not seen that breakdown yet, it is the previous video on this channel, and it is worth watching alongside this one because the two models can run simultaneously from the same client base. Link is in the description, and it is on the end screen right now.